No Paper, No Pen Reality TV presents Community Talk with Connie Burton.
Community becoming the highest capital for housing and home selling. It's the city of Tampa. We about number 2 of number 3. 2. Okay? So all of these things, and especially in our community, where we see that we're not able to pass down generational wealth, we can't. Grandmama, my mama, her money, her social security, my working check, we still couldn't buy a house that's at $425,000 in the heart of the black community. That's not reasonable. They just did a story the other day in this community called Lincoln Garden, which was one of the oldest black settlement in Tampa that was considered colored town for black men that fought in World War II to spend their GI dollars, and now how people in that community is being pushed out because all around the boundaries of that community, International Mall to all of the high rises, that people are being forced out because they can't afford to pay a property tax.
Excuse me. And then they put the interstate right behind my grandma's house. She stay over there in Culver City. And that pushed a lot of people out too. They gave them a little no money.
Okay. So we are being isolated without the pushbackness. You know what I'm saying? So for me, history is always like people say, well, how you can win? They won. The fact that we are not sometimes duplicating the same recipe, like you want to make a pound cake. All right, I looked at it. I think flour go in there. They might even put sugar in there. Might put some milk, and I'm gonna put it in the oven. But it take a little bit more than that to make a good pound cake. I think you forgot eggs. You might even forgot the kind of flour you need. You might even put no butter in there. Yeah, you looked at it and you thought that's all it needed. So the recipe to our victory might be some of that old school stuff that we feel like we need to get around. But one thing that, just studying and looking, that white people understand their pathway to power is through control. They're going to control your body.
And control.
They're going to control
intimidation.
Exactly. They're going to control your body. They're going to tell you what you can learn, what you can eat, where you can live. That is all being manipulated, whether it's Democrat, Republican. I always say white first. White trumps over everything. Now we might find some allies in there that might be on the margin of I support this issue, but at the end of the day, when the vote come in, and if it's for white supremacy, even those that's on the margin that's in support with us, they benefit from that as well, simply because they white, right? We have to say at this particular time in history, not to live off the laws of what our ancestors did, but what are we willing to do? What are we willing to sacrifice for that time? Some of the greatest women's of black progress is not women that we talk about today. We don't talk about a Shirley Chisholm that had to go up against black folks to let them know that black folks and black leadership could be at the top of the pyramid. You know what I'm saying? That a woman with limited education, such as our beloved sister Fannie Lou Hamer, would step into a national convention and say, we didn't come here for no 2 damn seats, that we want voting rights, powers, and privileges for everybody in Mississippi, and that's why we're here. And she could disrupt the national convention so bad until Johnson got to figure out how to bust her up to get her off the press conference. It has been all of this wonderful history of ours, not of my imaginary thinking, but recorded history that, goddamn it, when we get ourselves organized, when we get ourselves focused, excuse me, sister, brother, when we ain't bullshitting, we can win. But as long as we around here, well, I don't feel comfortable, I should say nothing, we ain't gonna win. We need all hands on deck. We need Ebonic language. We need those with understanding syllabus. We need those who want to get there with proper diction. If they talking black, we need all them at the microphone. So I'm trying to organize, like I was telling the sister, one thing that FRRC is doing, and I don't kid myself, I love the organization. Hey brother, how you doing? FRRC. So one of the works that we're gonna be doing right now is building for block captains, right? So within your circle, you might be able to encourage, say, your immediate family. I was telling the sister, these white folks, they got it all down pat. When you go to vote and your signature, what it looked like on your driving license, and you go to now to sign your thing, and you doing all that, ineligible. Ineligible. You ain't all that fancy. Ineligible. Your voting card. They don't bring you water to the. If you're in the line to get people's, to keep them comfortable while they register, you subject to go to jail. If you even pass some water, they are marking this stuff. They moving the vote, the redistricting in ways in which all the Republicans over here and they got the majority. So you going to vote in your district. These are the candidates. How do we win there? So we ain't gonna be able to win just based off the fact that we're voting. We got to be 3-tier. We got to do that, and we got to do that. We got to do that, that, and that. And not do it for just a small period of time, but we got to be willing to do it for a season. When I think about the civil rights movement, and Dr. King and them was planning on how they was gonna march, it took them not 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a whole year. And that was on one campaign. Then it took them another year on another campaign. And we got to be just as intentional as that. So organizational, I understand what we are doing that, but I think all of us as African women, we see sometime beyond that. We see the long term toward freedom. It's just almost like either giving birth, helping mama or auntie with a child. It ain't just no one bottle, it's many bottles. It ain't no changing no pamper one time. It's a many of times, right? So we got to say for the long term, for the future of our people, and for the generation that we are hoping to pass on a better world to, we got to commit ourselves, ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. And if everybody that we can't bring along right now, we drop you a nugget, we tell you what it is. There's always gonna be room for you to the left or the right of me, but I can't allow your being passive to stop the work that we got to do. We just simply got to do it. It ain't gonna step out of heaven for us. I pray every day, but I ain't under no illusion that it's gonna drop down and their hearts is gonna be softened and their spirit.
No, it ain't gonna work like that. Work is dead. So you just faith in it with no work. It ain't gonna prosper. It's not gonna manifest.
Exactly.
So I get that totally. But did you know they're trying to change history from slavery to? They're changing the word slavery out of there and putting involuntary
service. Yeah.
Relocation.
Yeah, relocation. So it's something we decided.
No. It ain't that we decided. It's involuntary. Meaning they came and got us, yes.
Yeah.
We involuntarily relocated to America. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then we can go ahead and file a class action lawsuit against you for that, for doing that to our ancestors, because if you involuntarily incarcerate somebody, you pay them for that time lapse that's gone, that they've been locked away.
Right.
So we are involuntary indigents that you brought here involuntarily. You're admitting a wrong.
Right.
So then you should compensate for this wrong.
Right. But, so we still get back to the words and the reasons for reparations are due.
Right. So you're making it. If you move the word slavery, go ahead. I dare you. Because now you opening the door to, okay, now you are admitting a wrong, because saying involuntary means it was against someone's will.
Exactly.
So if that's the case now, then let's go back and now you need to compensate for this.
So we'll be, because they are great wordsmith masters, right? we say one thing and they say another thing,
But it's all the same thing.
It's the same thing, but it's lacking accountability.
Right. But now this,
If
if they do that,
yeah, they gonna do it.
they gonna take on the responsibility by saying involuntary
Right.
relocation.
Right.
So therefore, now you are taking accountability for that because you saying that it was involuntary. So now you're admitting you had no business doing that because.
And they'll come back 2 weeks from now and say, although we say that, we don't believe any compensation should come to that. That's just, but
Then stop compensating the Indians.
right now,
Because here you go, it's the same thing. Stop compensating the Indians then because you did the same thing to them and you put the same verbiage
right.
in the same thing with the Indians. It's the same verbiage. So if you're compensating them,
How do we make them do it?
Got it.
What courts do we go to make them do it?
yeah, you don't have to fight it all the way to the top.
To the top of what? The Supreme Court? Because that's full of white nationalism now.
You're right. You're right. And even with the one Uncle Tom sitting up there.
That's white nationalism.
And I don't even and Katura Brown, I don't even understand.
Right.
She,
Yeah.
she ain't.
Yeah. So
She ain't sister enough.
if we have to go in the circle of their courts, we gonna still probably.
But see, here's the thing though. It's not necessarily a case that the Supreme Court has or can take up necessarily, because the Supreme Court is only challenging the constitutionality of a law. It's not to make a law or break a law. All it is saying that, okay, I'm challenging this law.
Right.
That's all the Supreme Court
Right.
is. It's like, I'm challenging, this case has to challenge the constitutionality of a law or an act. So therefore, what constitution right are we challenging? Here, you go back to the 14th
Well, I was
Amendment.
just gonna say 3/5 of the human.
Right, so you go back to the 14th Amendment.
Right.
So that was a law, but that law was eradicated when you brought it up to saying from human to now that we are full beings and nationalized citizens. This brought, so now.
With the caveat of having in place under law Jim Crowism.
Still, yes,
Okay.
yes. But then you go back and you take this 14th Amendment and you're saying now, okay, you're a nationalized citizen. So now it eradicates anybody that is not alive, that was involuntarily relocated, because now you were born here on this soil, so you are a nationalized citizen.
So I'm quite sure we're gonna have a lot of scholars that's gonna dig that and start working that to see how valid and worthy
So
of
a challenge it is.
not just the challenge, because all attorneys and special scholars, they can peel an onion quick. But where do it stand grounding of the compensation? And if we have, like right now, the redistricting, if we have now 9 justices and 6 of them at Supreme Court, if we have on a federal level people that was part of the Federalist organization that believed white rule, white life first, if we have to go through the avenue of written law, we still gonna be at a struggle. But if we have in our mind, like the brothers, the brilliant work, whether it was Brother Garvey, whether it was Booker T. Washington, whether it was working women of color, whether it was any of the SCLC, whether it was any of those young, brilliant people that was part of the Black Messiah organization, CORE, the Black Panther Party, if we have any of those marginalized groups that is willing to organize us to say right now, y'all understand what law is and we understand what law is too, and we come to get what's ours. What's ours is that we're not going to live up under the thumb of white power and white supremacy. We ain't doing that no more. What is law to us now is that you can't come and kidnap and rape and take from us. What's law that we're declaring now? That you can't come and get our people and keep them inside of bondage for 30 and 40 years, basically because of your written hate toward our people. We have to declare what's law for us, right? And we have to energize that kind of energy inside of our community. I was telling this sister, I'm taking my grandchildren up to the Equal Justice Museum in Birmingham, Alabama, before they go to school. That's my gift to them. Not no damn Disney World. Okay? I want you to go and see the recorded history of your people. Because I want your mind right when you get ready to enter into these educational institutions. Don't have nobody calling me talking about your conduct, because I want to know that while you there, you know you got a responsibility of getting all that you can to bring back home so we have something to work with, right? So while they doing that, then the next level of adults got to find something. And we got the scholars over here that's going to be looking at all of that. But we got to create that energy on the ground that people that's administrating law to us all the time have an uncomfortable easiness. That they know it's a group of people now that ain't going to obey none of that stuff y'all been talking about. Everything y'all say is going to be a no starter for us because the resistance is being built. Like, kind of like swinging off this a little bit. One time, the Black Panther Party understood the Constitution that we have a right to arm ourselves, and they marched up into the state capitol. And within weeks, under Ronald Reagan and all of the senators that was there, they wrote a law that black men, men that had felony convictions, could not have firearms. Mm-hmm. But now them young boys, them young cats read it, saying that you had a constitutional right to defend your life, your property, your home, or whatever. And that's why they went in there and said, we have a right. According to your Constitution, we have a right. And they'll be damned if they didn't take another sheet of paper and say, well, now the Constitution, that do read that. But now this new school of the attorneys, this new school of lawmakers, we say everybody but you. And that's how we've been living. That they can write something, they can even change the language, but it means everybody but you. Mm-hmm. And we have to say right now that we don't care what you all write, because we have to create that tension. Dr. King said sometimes tension is necessary. It's almost like you trying to heal a wound, but the wound got pus. It got a scab on it. But it ain't healing because it's infected, right? Mm-hmm. You got to pull a scab off.
Let that infection run out.
Let the infection run out so you can start nursing the wound. Mm-hmm. We're saying that America is so full of infection in every aspect of our lives. We are the ones that's going to pull the scab back. Because it's our responsibility to educate our returning citizens, right? To let them know that all of that they taught, my experience, that they never mean for us to be rehabilitated, that we supposed to always be capital going in and out of these systems for them. We done with that part. The miseducation of our children is going to be taught through them, but it's our responsibility to build institutions so we can teach our children. We also go and tell those that we elect that you can't use our labor for free no more. It ain't gonna happen. You can't come into our neighborhoods and take our land that you described as the very worst. But when you want it, it becomes the very best. And if we create that kind of tension, then you come back to the table. Because see,
they do
our
that
household,
right now around Busch Gardens, you know that, right?
Yeah, our household can't stand strong divided. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we ain't talking about people in Poland telling America what it's doing wrong. We ain't talking about people in Europe. We talking about here, right here on the ground. Mm-hmm. That we will not celebrate your holidays. We will not acknowledge you. That we plan on resisting peacefully, or however that's interpreted, every step of the way. That we do not respect your court system. We do not respect your police. because we have seen them to be armed agents of the state that is acting as jury, judge, and executioner when it comes to our people. And we have a right to life. We have a right to freedom. We have a right to justice. We got a right to humanity. And we declaring it for ourselves. Who don't understand that? That's plain. We ain't asking to take nothing out of your hand in your pocket. We just say, leave us alone. That the days of propping your feet on our backs are over. Because we standing erect now. We understand. We understand what we need. If we don't understand how to read that Constitution, we don't know how you interpret it, we don't even know what you came back to do to amend it. We just know that we're going to declare ourselves free. And then people call over there and they can't get no help.
Okay.
Amen.
No.
Okay.
And then we're going
Waste of time.
to circle back because voting officially starts August the 8th.
Okay.
Then the primary, November the 8th is the primary. Did I get you to join the NAACP?
No.
No, I need you to join. Don't worry about the fee. I'm going to get that for you. Because we got some people that's trying to take over this branch. They working for white folks downtown, right? And the NAACP is our oldest civil rights organization we got. This one here in particular stands up. It ain't all it need to be, but if it has the membership to push it in the direction that it need to go into, we still stand a chance, right? And we got some black folks that's doing the work of white people trying to take it over. There's going to be election in November, and you have to be a member in order to vote. And we building up a membership, so when it's time to cast our vote, we voting the right person to be the president. Not what people downtown want it to be. Like it has been a continual campaign in our community that either our black leadership get assassinated, because see, they could have poisoned Dr. King. They had to shoot him in the head. They shot him in the head to send a message out. Next one of y'all stand up talking about being a leader, this is what you get. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they try to malign your character, beat you down, tack you down, so you won't never stand up for your people. So we got to turn that all backwards. Brother, I want you to fill out one too now.